The following motion picture contains copious amounts of sugar and dairy. Halloween is a time of year when things that were once dead are known to come back to life. Zombies, vampires, YouTube channels. But I don't want to eat brains or blood, I want to eat pumpkin cheesecake. How? Follow me. First and foremost, as you can probably immediately tell, new camera. Proper one this time, not my phone, thank God. Second of all, I have lights now, so I can record things when there isn't natural light outside, which is good because I tend to do all of my baking at night because I prefer to, for some reason. It's been a while. I had college, I had to move to Clonmel for it, then I had to move back because there's another lockdown, so I have time again. I was gonna record other stuff, but I started stuff, like I was gonna do something about shortbread, because I love shortbread. I was gonna do a moving vlog thing when I was moving, which seems pointless now because I haven't been there in like 2 months and I'm still paying rent as well, which is really disturbing. I still don't know if we're gonna need it next year or not. I mean, it's good to have anyway because I do want to go back to Clonmel, I really miss it. But I finally have enough motivation to actually make something again. So, pumpkin cheesecake. I have not made pumpkin cheesecake before. I've made pumpkin pie before, a few times, some better than others. Setup might change, need to figure things out, where to put lights and all that. I think this looks fine. Anyway, cheesecake base. The recipe says graham crackers, however the Americans say it, which to us in Europe, digestives, basically the same thing. Also a moment to appreciate the fact that this camera has autofocus. Melted melted butter, and this is brown sugar and cinnamon. Focus. I think it did. I'm gonna have everything in the description so you can go and look. I will have actual measurements there. So into a food processor, I would have a second camera angle, but I left my other camera in Clonmel because 20 digestives into the food processor, break them if needs be. You should really break them with your hand a little bit anyway. The food processor can only do so much. Once the digestives are basically a sandy texture, I'm going to add in the brown sugar and the cinnamon and blitz that too, so they're all evenly distributed. You definitely need to go in a bit with like a spoon or a fork or something to check the brown sugar hasn't stayed clumped because it likes to do that. So just going to press it up against the walls so any clumps kind of get smushed. Then the last thing to go in is the melted butter, and I'm going to do that while it's running because I might not need all of it. You just kind of want to pour it in and pulse until it looks kind of like clumping together naturally. So like if you press it, it will kind of hold together, but it won't be like soggy or anything. Once it reaches that point, I'm going to press it into the bottom of a 9-inch springform pan. I assume you know what a springform pan is. If you don't, here's one. Now you know. The recipe said to press it up against the walls of the pan as well, which I've never done before. I've seen it done before with cheesecakes, but this is my first time actually doing it, so we'll see how that goes. In any case, I'm going to put it in the fridge for 15 minutes, and then I'm going to bake it at, I think, 170 for 10 minutes. It's impossible to make a pumpkin cheesecake without first addressing the issue of the pumpkin. If you, like me, are living in a country where you can't just walk into a shop and buy canned pumpkin on the shelf, you can turn a regular pumpkin into puree. Simply take a pumpkin and pull out all of the stringy innards and seeds from the inside. Once you've taken out its innards, spread pieces of the helpless pumpkin onto a baking tray and bake it at 200 degrees for about an hour. All you have to do then is peel off the skins, put it in a blender, and you have puree. Don't worry, you're safe. For now. Because I had canned pumpkin that I bought online. It is now filling time. Once the base cooled down, I wrapped it in tin foil because it's going to be going in a water bath. And when that happens, you don't want water to get in because it will ruin everything. So once it's cool, wrap it in tin foil. First up, a lot of cream cheese. This is one family tub plus 2 normal tubs of Philadelphia. Whenever you have to buy a lot of cream cheese, especially like to bake with, you should check the prices because sometimes the one will be on sale, like the family tubs will be, and the normal size won't. Sometimes it's more worthwhile to buy a bunch of the normal ones than it is to buy one family one. Just check whichever one works out cheap. It's something you should probably just be aware of, at least. And this goes... I'm gonna beat the cream cheese on its own a little bit just to make sure it's loosened up a little bit. So into the cream cheese, I'm gonna add sugar and flour. When you're making a baked cheesecake, you want to mix things as low as possible, as little as possible, because the more you mix it and the faster you mix it, the more air there will be, the more bubbles can rise to the top of the oven and make cracks in your cheesecake. I'm using a stand mixer. You can do this with an electric hand mixer. The original recipe video thing that I looked at used one, so it is possible. Just be aware of how much air is getting in, and when it comes time to put it in the oven, make sure you spot the bubbles and pop them with like a toothpick or something if there's any visible ones. Okay, next, the pumpkin. I ordered a bunch of canned pumpkin last year and I didn't get around to using all of it, so I feel terribly guilty. So I'm gonna try and make use of this plus 2 other cans that I have before the year is out, I think, maybe. Even though pumpkin dessert time is kind of over. As well as that, I'm gonna add some sour cream, some spices, and some vanilla. Just like before, mix them all on low, don't get too high, and then when they're just incorporated, you stop and you scrape it down. And then the last thing to go in are the eggs, which go in one by one. Now, once it's all together, it's time to go in the pan. The pan with the cheesecake in it is going to need to be in a larger pan. Once you pour the filling into the pan, you're going to want to pour hot water around it. You just want to pour the water about halfway up, not past the tin foil, because then it'll get in and defeat the entire point of the tin foil. And then you put it in the oven and you bake it for... I don't remember. I'm tired, I'm not sure. But I'm sure. I've never been more sure of anything in my entire life. And I don't sleep. Baked cheesecake at 150 degrees Celsius for an hour and 40 minutes. Or less. You'll see why. When it's done, turn off the oven and let it sit there for another 30 minutes to think about what it did. Then crack the oven door open a little bit and let it sit for another 20 minutes. After that, you can take it out, let it cool to room temperature, and then put it in the fridge overnight. Cheesecake is out and cool and big cracks. However, they're all around the edge, and with the way I want to decorate it, they probably won't be a problem. You won't see them. I think I probably left it in a bit too long, and maybe it was a bit hot. But either way, I'm gonna decorate it. It'll probably be fine. So my plan is I'm gonna draw some cobwebs with melted white chocolate because that's Halloween-y. And then I'm probably gonna pipe whipped cream around the edge, all around, basically where the cracks are. Once I do that, pretty much done. So all in all, not too bad, not perfect, but... So I melted my white chocolate and I whipped my cream and I got to work decorating the cheesecake, but I encountered a problem, which was that my cobweb was asymmetrical. I decided I would solve this problem the way I solve most problems, which is by covering it in insects. I made a spider with a walnut and a few pieces of plastic that I cut from cable ties. And I made flies from chocolate chips and sliced almonds to feed my new spider. With that, I was content with my decoration and my specimen was complete. I finally had a pumpkin cheesecake. Many things could have gone better, but many things could have gone worse. Happy Halloween. You don't know when you'll see me again, but I know. Thank you for watching, and I will see you very soon.